Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Our intrepid friend, Patrick Lancaster, joins us today from China. Patrick, a pleasure, my dear man. We never know where you're going to be when you pop up on the screen, but welcome here. Welcome to the show, as always. And thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thanks for having me, Judge. As always, it's great to be on, and it's a pleasure to be able to share information with the world with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we get to what you're observing in China, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, what the Chinese people think about this as compared to what the Western press is portraying it, give us your latest take on Ukraine and Russia. I think you left about a week ago, but tell us where things stand militarily. The last time you reported live from Ukraine, you were almost literally under fire, under Ukrainian fire. You were reporting from what under Russian law is Russia, but what the Ukrainians were shelling. And you, as well as other guests of ours, familiar with the military situation, reported that Ukraine is in bad shape militarily. Where do things stand as you understand it today?
Well, obviously, unfortunately, there's still constant shelling of civilian areas in especially the Donetsk region and the city itself of Donetsk. People are unfortunately dying every day and being injured every day. And this goes for civilians because Ukraine they have been doing for the last 10 years, shelling civilian areas. And unfortunately, in the last week, two of my colleagues have been killed. Two journalists have been killed in the Donetsk region. One from shelling and one from a Ukrainian attack drone. The one that was killed from shelling, the journalist, he was a veteran journalist, and the other man was a younger man, and unfortunately, they both lost their lives. And another journalist, unfortunately, lost one of his arms. It was blown off by some of the shrapnel from the shelling. So thoughts and prayers go out to their families. But beyond that, as we know, Russian President Putin proposed a peace deal to Ukraine and was basically denied within minutes. And it seems Ukraine and Zelensky and the United States in general is not getting the message from Russia that they're not going to just let some of what is Russia by Russian law not be under Russian control. And that goes for, of course, Crimea. I mean, anybody that thinks that there's any chance that Crimea could come under Ukrainian control again is just living in a fantasy world. I mean, the people of Crimea are for Russian and cried when they became Russia again out of happiness in 2014. And I say again, and it's because before 1956, Crimea was part of Russia. Anybody born before 1956 in Crimea was born in Russia. They're Russian people, and they wanted to be and still want to be part of Russia. These are the facts. And they deserve self-determination like everyone across the world. And as far as the Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic, as they named themselves in 2014, which the West and Ukraine calls the Donetsk and Lugansk regions, those regions, I brought the people footage of the referendums where they voted to leave Ukraine in 2014, which preceded this 10-year war. The war started in Donetsk in May 26, 2014, not 2022, when Russia came in and basically went to war full on. I mean, anybody, you can pick your words, but I mean, this is, there's no question that this is a war, regardless what special names anyone wants to call it. I mean, the United States called the war in Iraq in 2003, when I was there on an aircraft carrier, they called that Operation Iraqi Freedom. So whether you want to call a war an operation or whatever, everyone knows what it is, and every country calls it by their special name. And
Right.
it's the West wants to call out Putin and Russia for saying, and they have been for 2 years, for calling it the special operation. And, they're basically talking down to Russia for using these special words, where the West uses the exact same thing, Iraqi freedom, and so on and so on. War is war, regardless of which words you want to put on it. But this war has been going on for 10 years, and 2 of those years, Russia has been involved, and the people are dying, and peace needs to come in some way so people can stop dying. But Ukraine and Zelensky in the United States do not want to give an inch, and certainly by Russian law, Putin cannot give up any of what, regardless if the West likes it or not, Russian law calls the regions of Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson, and of course Crimea, part of Russia.
Right.
So there's no way even Putin can give up those territories.
But Patrick, thank you very much for that recitation, because Judging Freedom is one of the few places where you will get that understanding of history, in your case, firsthand. The Western media makes it sound like all this began in February of 2022 when Putin, quote, invaded Russia. The Western media forgets that Ukraine has been bombing what it acknowledges are its own people, even though they are legally part of Russia, since 2014. And you're telling us that those bombings, Ukrainian military attacking civilians in eastern Ukraine, are still going on.
Yes, no question about it. Every day there's many hundreds even of drone attacks across the regions, and many of those are on civilian targets.
Why are they? Do you have a handle on why they're attacking civilians? I mean, of what military or strategic advantage to the Ukrainians is there to attacking their own people?
The people that are under the Ukrainian shelling, when I ask them that, they say it's to terrorize them. And it's terrorist tactics, and to try to make them leave, and just to scare them or to kill them. And many of these people say they're not going to be pushed around by the Ukrainian government. They're not going to leave. And that goes for the people in these 4 regions, what the West considers part of Ukraine. And it goes for the civilian targets that Ukraine is targeting inside what is non-disputed Russia. And
Right.
these people say that it's Ukraine terrorizing civilians. That's what they say. These aren't my words. All these quotes can become my channel.
Were you at all surprised by the Ukrainian and Western rejection of President Putin's offer of peace within hours of his making it? I mean, the offer included the word negotiations twice, yet the rejection was, okay. The response was not, okay, let's talk. The response was an immediate and total rejection. Were you surprised?
No, because for one, Zelensky has said that they are going to the last Ukrainian and taking all of the territory back from Russia, which is just a dream scenario that I think any halfway smart person realized is a total just impossibility. And even if Zelensky did want to negotiate, it doesn't seem the West will let him, because they're the ones footing the bill for this.
Do the Ukrainian people still regard Vladimir Zelensky as their lawful president, as their lawful head of the government, even though his term expired? He stayed in office anyway. He canceled elections, so he wasn't reelected. To the Russian mind, he's illegitimate. What is he to the Ukrainian mind?
Well, I can tell you about the quote unquote Ukrainians that the West and Ukraine call Ukrainians that live in Donbass that I see every day when I'm there. They think Zelensky is a clown and a butcher, and that all he's doing is going for blood and has no interest of helping what is left of Ukraine. And as far as what the actual Ukrainian people that still live in Ukraine-controlled territory, I don't know, but at this point, I don't think it can be very good. I mean, his term, as you said, is over, and he shouldn't be president right now, or at least should have gone through an election again.
Is there any reaction that you can feel or detect from President Putin's trip to North Korea, which is where I believe he is as we speak?
Obviously, Russia is trying to strengthen ties with non-Western countries because of the political situation we're in. So this is a branch of that. He's been, as I said, strengthening ties with many countries, including China and others. What's going to come out of it as far as trade and other things, only time will tell.